Okay, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So we'll continue the revision. And if you are watching this video for the first time, please take a minute to subscribe to my channel. You can also give a video like so that many people can view the video. So today I'll do question 23 and I'll read the question straight away. Birika Limited manufactures a single product branded B. The standard selling price and variable cost per unit of product B are as follows. We have the selling price, you have materials, you have labor, a total of 228. Then additional information, number one, the budgeted sales for the month of October 2023 were 38,000 units. Allow me to write it here. 38,000 units. The actual results for the month of October 2023 was follows. Production and sales, 36,000 units. Then you have selling price per unit, 134, materials, 754,000, labor, 2656,000. So number three, the company operates a standard costing system and just-in-time purchasing and production system required in A, prepare in columnar format the original budget, flexible budget, and actual statement. Number B, showing applicable variances, prepare a statement that reconciles the budgeted contribution with the actual contribution. Number C, given that the actual sales units increases by 1,000 units while production costs remain the same as a result of reduced inflation, plot a graph depicting original, flexed, and actual budget statements. Yeah, so we'll do this question. So I'll start with part A, prepare in columnar format the original budget, flexible budget, and actual statement. Yeah, so I'll do it here. Yeah, so there's some workings which I want to do here before we continue. So I'll do what we call the budgeted contribution. So let me calculate the budgeted contribution. So the budgeted contribution will be the selling price, which is 136, minus the variable cost, which is material 20 and 72. Yeah, so this is what we call budgeted contribution. Okay, so I'll go straight away. So we'll prepare the original budget. So I'll put the original budget. Then we have flexible budget. Then we have the actual budget. Actual budget. Yes, so I'll underline this. I'll introduce the bottom border and bold it all together. Yeah, so we start with the units. Yeah, so the units for the original budget, we budgeted for how much? For 38,000 units. So I just say equals, then I select the 38,000. Then for actual, the actual units produced and sold was 36,000. Yeah, so from this now I'll prepare the original budget first before I go to actual, then flex budget. So the original units, I'll start with sales. Yeah, so sales is always selling price times the number of units sold. Yeah, so the selling price and the standard selling price which is the original budget, will be 136 times 38,000 units. Yeah, so we'll have a sales of that amount. Then we'll have production costs. So we'll have production costs. So the production cost, allow me to bold it. And I'll create the bottom border. Yeah, so I'll start with the first item, and that was material. Yeah, so that's materials. Yeah, so what was the amount of materials, the cost of materials under the original budget? So this is what we'll do. We will pick material per unit, it was 20 shillings, but you multiply by 38,000 units. Yeah. Then labor. Labor, you'll take the labor per unit was 72. Then you multiply by 38,000. Yeah, so that now we can get the contribution, so that we can be able to get the contribution. Yeah, so the total, so we'll get the total production cost. So I'll sum all these two. So you select that, then you sum. Yeah, so we'll have 349 and 60 as the total production cost. Therefore, the contribution will be the difference between sales and the production cost. Yes, we just subtract production cost. So the contribution will be this amount under the original budget. So allow me to bold that. Yeah, so I'll go next, I'll go to actual budget. So actual budget will take sales. Sales is selling price times the number of units sold. So the selling price under actual was 134 shillings. I'll multiply by the actual, the actual units sold. I'll enter. Then we'll go to materials. Yeah, for actual, already we were given the amount. Yeah, so we won't calculate anything. We are told here that material used was 754,000. So we just select that. Then labor the same. We are given here 2656 as the actual. Yeah, so that the total production cost under actual will be the sum of those two. Yeah, so that the contribution will be the difference, will be sales minus production cost. Give us that amount there. So now for when it comes to flexible budget, we'll calculate what we call the flex factor. We will calculate what we call the flex factor. So the flex factor, we will pick the number of units under actual. You divide by the number of units under the original budget. Yeah, so you'll get 0.94. So what we do, under flexible budget, we'll use the same units, the actual units. So I just include that there. So for sales now, you'll use this figure here to multiply all the values under the original budget to get the flexible budget. So use the flex factor, you multiply all the values here. So this is what I'm going to do. Sorry, this is what I'm going to do. So I'll say equals to, for sales, I'll pick this and I'll multiply by the sales under original. But unlock the flex factor completely because it will be applicable all through. So I'll lock it completely. Lock it completely, but I'll only lock the column under the original budget. Yeah. So I'll only lock the column. And then you enter. Yeah, so that's the cells under flexible budget. So I just drag all the way up to labor, and I'll have those other values there. You delete this because there was no item there. So that the production cost under flexible will be the sum of these two. So I'll get 331, 200, so that when I drag, I'll just get the contribution. Yeah, so the contribution will be 158, 400. That will be my contribution. And with that, I'm done with part A of that question, where the requested that we prepare in columnar format the original budget, flexible budget, and actual budget statement. Yeah. So with this now, you are done with part A. That's how you are supposed to do part A of this question. So we go to part B of the question. They're saying, showing applicable variances, prepare a statement that reconciles the budgeted contribution with the actual contribution. Yeah. So this is what will happen. This is the budgeted contribution is this amount, and the actual amount contribution is this. Yeah. So it's reducing from what we budgeted for 1,672,000 to 1,414,000. So this happens because there were variances, yeah, which made it to reduce from the original of 1,672,000 to 1,414,000. So this is how we are going to do the reconciliation. So you'll say reconciliation of the original contribution to actual contribution. Yeah, so I bold it. Yeah, so we will start with the budgeted contribution. Yeah, the one for the original budget. So that's the budgeted contribution. Yeah, so the amount, you just select this amount. Then you check at the item. So we'll start with the sales. So the first variance of sale is the sales price variance. Sales price variance. Yeah, so here, will allow me, let me undo this so that I can also introduce the formulas. Yeah, so I'll put it here. Yeah, so that's okay. So I'll start with the sales price variance. Yeah, the reason being we have sales here. Yeah, so I'll look for sales variances, material variances, and labor variances. Yeah, so we start with sales price variance. So the formula for sales price variance is actual price. Yeah, actual price minus budgeted price then you multiply by the actual quantity. Yeah, actual quantity sold. Multiply by the actual quantity sold. That's the formula. So allow me to extend that. Yeah, let me extend that a little bit. Yeah, so it's clear. Yeah, so we'll start. So you just say equals to the actual price is the actual selling price, which was 134. You subtract the budgeted price, which was 136. Let me go back. Subtract that 136. Then you multiply by the actual quantity sold. Yeah, then you multiply by the actual quantity sold. So how many? It was 36 units. Yeah, that was the actual quantity sold. Yeah, then you enter. So you'll get an adverse variance of 72,000. So the other thing will be the sales volume variance. Yeah, the other variance will be sales volume variance. Yeah, and the formula is budgeted quantity minus actual quantity. Yeah, these are the quantities sold. Yeah, budgeted quantity minus actual quantity times budgeted contribution. Yeah, so we'll multiply that by budgeted contribution. So allow me to extend this, that it doesn't overlap. Okay, so sales volume variance, so we'll say equals to, so the budgeted quantity is what we budgeted to sell, so that will be 38,000 minus 36,000. Then times the budgeted contribution, which was how much? I calculated it here, it was 44. Yeah. And as you can see, we budgeted for 138, but actually what we sold was 36 units, 36,000 units. So it means that we budgeted for more, but we have sold less. So that's an adverse variance. So here you will introduce a negative. Yeah, introduce a negative, then you enter. So we'll have an adverse variance of 88,000. Yeah, so it will be an adverse variance of 88,000. Now that we are done with sales, we go to the next item under production, which is material. So we'll start with the material price variance. We'll start with the material price variance. And the formula is standard price. Yeah, this is not the standard price for material. Standard price, let me just say standard price per kg minus actual price. Yeah, so it's standard price per kg minus actual price per kg. Then you multiply by the actual quantity. Multiply by the actual quantity. Yeah, so the standard price per kg, so we'll check. Check the standard price. Yeah, we are told that 2 kilograms was selling at shillings 10 per kilogram. So it means that is 10 shillings. Sorry, let me undo this first. Yeah, so the standard price, which is per kg for material. Yeah, we're told that material, we needed 2 kilograms at shillings 10 per kilogram. So it has to be 10. Then let me also do for labor. Labor, we have 3 hours at shillings 24 per hour. So let me put it there, 24. Then actual, we are told here under materials, we use 76,000 kilograms at a cost of 754,000. So we have to get the cost, the actual cost per kg. So we just take 754,000, you divide by 76,000. So allow me, let me just include this here. Let me put 76,000 there. Then also for hours, let me just put 114,000 hours. Yeah. So for the material, the actual per kg, we'll take 754, we divide by 76,000. Yeah, so we'll have 9.9. So let me reduce it and make it 2. Yeah, have a whole figure. So I'll reduce the decimals. Yeah, so it will give me 10. And let me just calculate also for labor. yeah, the standard rate per hour for labor also. I'll pick that and I'll divide by the number of hours paid. Yeah, so I'll also reduce this. Yeah, so it will give me that 23. Yeah, so it's okay. So we can be able to do the workings now. Yeah, so we'll just say material price variance will be equals to the standard price per kg. Yeah, so the standard price per kg of the material is 10 minus the actual price per kg of the material, which is also 10. Then you multiply by the actual quantity. So the actual quantity is the quantity of material. So the actual quantity of the material was 76,000 or 76,000. Then you enter. So you enter, you'll have a variance of 6,000. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not adverse. Yeah. So you have a positive variance of 6,000. So we continue. So we'll also look for material usage variance. Material usage variance. So the formula for material usage variance is the standard quantity minus actual quantity then you multiply by the standard price. Okay, so this is what we do. For material usage variance, the standard quantity is the standard quantity in actual. Yeah. So you analyze, you use the units for the actual production to get the standard quantity produced. So you ask yourself, 1 unit required how many kilograms? Then you ask yourself, what about the actual units which were produced? So under standard, you come here. For standard, a unit requires 2 kilograms. Huh? Yeah, so you say for 1 unit, you will require 2 kilograms. What about the actual units which were produced, which is 36,000, would require how many kilograms? So you take 36,000, you multiply by 2, and that will give us 72. Yeah, it will give us 72,000 kilograms. Yeah, so it was 72,000 kilograms. So you take 72, just say equals to the standard in actual, standard quantity actual will be 72,000 minus the actual quantity of material which was used. Yeah, the actual quantity of material which was used was 76,000. Yeah, then you multiply by the standard price. The standard price is the standard price is of the material which was 10. So you just enter. So you get an adverse variance of 40,000. So we are done with the material. So we go to labor. So labor will start with the labor rate variance. Start with the labor rate variance. Yeah, so the formula for labor rate variance is the standard rate minus actual rate, then you multiply by the actual hours. Sorry, actual hours. So we'll apply that. So we'll say equals to, then the standard rate for labor, already I've calculated here, it's 20 shillings 24 per hour. So that's the standard rate. Then you minus the actual rate, which is here 23, minus 23. Then you multiply by the actual hours. So the actual hours was how much? Yeah, the actual hours was this, 114,000. So just enter and you get positive of 80,000. So, and lastly, we'll check now the labor efficiency variance. Labor efficiency variance. Yeah, so the formula is standard hours. Yeah, so standard hours in actual. Standard hours minus actual hours then you multiply by the standard rate. Standard rate. Yeah, so this is what will happen. So you reason, standard in actual, so standard hours, you ask yourself, a unit required how many hours? Yeah, so here labor you're told that 3 hours at shillings 24 per hour. So it means that 1 unit will require 3 hours. So you ask yourself, what about 36,000 units, which were actual? So you take 36,000, you multiply by 3 hours. So that will give us 108. That will give us 108,000. Yeah, so you just come and say equals to 108,000. Yeah, that was the standard in actual, standard hours, minus the actual hours we were given was 114. Yeah, actual was 114,000 hours. Then you just multiply by the standard rate, and the standard rate was 24. Yeah, standard rate for labor was 24. Yeah, then you just enter. Yeah, so by that, we are done with all units here. So we have done sales variance, materials, and labor variance. So let us see if it reconciles. So what they mean is that you have to add all this. When you sum all this, they're supposed to give you the value, the actual budget here, this value of 14. So let us see. So I'll sum all this. Yeah, and you can see it has given us that value of 14,000. Yeah, so we have reconciled the budget. We have reconciled the original contribution to actual contribution. Yeah, we have reconciled the original to actual contribution. So that's how we are supposed to do that part of that question. So I'll go to the last part, and that is, we are told that given that the actual sales units increases by 1,000 units, while production costs remain the same as a result of reduced inflation, plot a graph depicting original budget, flexed budget, and the actual budget statements. Yeah, so this is what you do. So we are told that the original, so we will, I'll copy this information here. Yeah, the first information, so I'll copy this. Copy all that, so I'll say Control C. Then I'll come here and paste it here. Say Control. Let me put it here. You see. So let me just copy it here. So Control V. I think that's okay. Yeah, so let me just increase the size of this. Yeah, so we are told that the only thing that changes was the actual sales units. Yeah, so it means that the original remained the same. Yeah, so I'll copy the data for original. So the units for original, I'll just copy these data the way they are. This is the original. I'll do the same to sales. Then I'll do the same to materials. And the same I'll do to labor. Then yeah, once that, then the values are copied. So we are told that it's the actual units that increased by 1,000 units. So we had 36,000 initially, but now it increased by 1,000. So we are going to have 36 37,000 units here. But we are told that the production cost did not change. So I'll do the same for actual. The production costs remain the same. So I'll just copy the original data for material, which is this. Then I'll do the same for labor. Yeah, and it will give me that value there. So I'll do the same even for flexible. Yeah, because the production cost was not even changing under the flexible budget. So I'll pick this. Then I'll also pick that. Yeah, and I'll have those values. So the only thing that changes in both cells and or in flexible and actual budget is the cells. Yeah, so that's the only thing that is supposed to change. That's what is supposed to change. So let me start by calculating the cells for actual. Yeah, so I'll take 37,000 units, then I'll multiply by the actual, which was 134. Yeah, the selling price per unit, which was 134. Yeah, that one. Yeah, so I get that value for sales. Then for this, for sales for flexible, I'll now apply the flex factor. So I'll calculate the flex factor here. I'll divide the actual. I'll divide by the number of, by the units of original. Yeah, so I'll get 0.97368. So that's what I will use. I'll just come here and say this flex factor, I'll just multiply by that. Yeah, to get 503,200. Yeah, and the values changes automatically. So we were told to use this information to plot a graph. Yeah, so after doing this adjustment, you just highlight all this, then you insert, then you go to recommended. Yeah, and you can see we have so many graphs. So I'll choose this. Choose that, then I say okay. So I can choose from variety. There are varieties are here. Yeah, you can choose from any. Yeah, let me choose this. Yeah, these are a little bit presentable. Yeah, so I'll choose this with the values. Yeah, so the chart title, you will say original. Original flexible. And actual budgets. Yeah, that's the title of your graph. And actual budget. So just click. So you can just drag it and place it here below. Place it down there. Yeah, and with that, you're done with this question. With that, you're done with the question. So that's how you're supposed to do this question. So continue subscribing to my channel so that we can get to 1,000 subscribers in the next 30 days. And also like the video so that even your colleagues and friends can have access to the video. Thank you so much and have a blessed day wherever you are.